Good evening, everyone. How's everybody doing tonight? We want to thank all of you for coming out tonight. It's going to be a lot of fun, but also for showing your support for our organization, Autism Speaks, as a principal of 2 schools for children with autism. I can honestly say that our lives have been blessed and touched by these children. Even though personally, my husband and I do not have a child on the spectrum, but we always say that we have 2 biologicals and 150 who are non-biologicals. And one of the things that we have always taught our students is that autism is not a problem. Autism is a journey. And as many journeys that we take throughout our lifetime, it has some highs, it has some lows, it has challenges. But what always helps you get through this journey is the people who are around you. People like your family. If it wouldn't be for the parents of these children who have been diagnosed, they wouldn't be where they are today and come so far. And it's very difficult to be the parents of a child who's on the spectrum or a sibling. There is a lot of investments that go into it. The therapies are extremely expensive, and that's one of the reasons why we want to raise awareness and speak to our legislation to bring out changes in insurances that will cover all these costs. But as part of this journey, we have seen that with perseverance, with much love and much faith in God, we see how far these children have come. So tonight, I have the pleasure of introducing to you, and you're going to meet a very special family that has been with us for many, many years already. This is the family of a wonderful and amazing young man whose name is Zachary. His parents have gone through an incredible journey, along with Zachary's older brother Noah. And tonight, you are going to have the opportunity to hear about their journey together as a family. And you are going to have an amazing treat of listening firsthand from Zachary what it's like growing up with autism. So please welcome, with a warm applause, the Torricella family.
Thanks for coming, everyone. It's been a real pleasure tonight. It sure is. Okay, I'm Zach. Along with me, more applause. This here's my dad, Robert. And my mom, Denise, and my bro, Noah. Warm applause, guys.
This is awesome.
You guys will hear more from Zachary at the end. Thank you guys for being here. And ladies of ASD, where are you guys? Thank you all for hosting this. Thank you to Autism Speaks. We'll talk about that a little bit more. And thank you to all of you for being here. We've been asked to speak as a family, and we've all got notes because we're trying to stay within some time, so I'll apologize in advance that we're going to do a little bit of reading, but that's the reason we want to respect your time. Denise and I were married in 1996. And Noah was born 2 years later, in 1998.
And I was born 3 years later.
That's right. Zach came along in 2001, and his birth was uneventful. But he developed a fever a couple of days after he was born, and ultimately it was diagnosed with meningitis. He spent a month in the ICU, and everything turned out okay. He came home and started progressing normally as a child as he was developing. As he grew, we started noticing little things. He liked to play alone. He didn't respond when his name was called. Sometimes. He had poor eye contact, and we didn't make much of it at first. This is 2001, 2002. It was still kind of early. By the summer of 2002, we started noticing that he was falling behind his peers. His younger cousin was with him, and she seemed more developed than he was.
And that was when I met her.
So we, at that point, we said, we got to go check him out. We thought maybe he had a hearing issue. Meningitis tends to attack the hearing. So we took him to have his hearing tested. His hearing came back normal, and we realized that we had a different issue in front of us. Back then, they didn't diagnose autism until kids were 3. but we were,
What a relief.
right? But we were led to believe that likely the diagnosis would be autism. And back then, there was no Autism Speaks. There was information out there, but it was scattered. It wasn't organized in the way that it is now. It wasn't as available as it is today. And the knowledge of autism wasn't as great as it is today. And that's why things like this are important. So we had to get to work on dealing with the issue. We were lost.
But never fear. We got some assistance.
Yeah, we sure did. We looked for all sorts of help. And early on, especially back then, doctors, therapists, back then especially because there was an organization like Autism Speaks, a lot of people taking advantage of families of autistic kids. A lot of people selling cures and remedies and things that they just weren't real. And back then, you're so desperate. You're looking for anything to help your child. And we were victims to some of that. We spent thousands and thousands, and we still do, spend thousands and thousands of dollars to get Zachary help. Back then, insurance covered nothing. Everything was out of pocket, and you can imagine the financial burdens, how difficult that can be for a family. And it was for us. The pressures were enormous. Fortunately, though, we've been able to provide for Zachary's help. There are a lot of families that aren't that fortunate and really, really need help. And that's why things like what we're doing today are important.
Just like the way it is.
Yeah. A lot of families in those situations tend to fall apart. The divorce rates in autism, families suffering with autism are very high. Things like support that they can get in the community make a big difference. Events like this make a big difference. We had that choice. We could either fall apart as a result of all of this, or we could come together and decide to face it head on. And thankfully, that's what we did. Rather than divide us, autism brought us together. And over time, we learned about the great blessings that we have having Zachary as our son. Autism Speaks came along in 2005, and slowly, things started to change. Awareness started increasing. And a little thing like awareness means a lot to a family with autism. Back in the day, we would sit in a restaurant, and it would be so difficult because we'd get the constant stares. People not understanding what we were, what Zach was dealing with. He couldn't control some of his emotions, some of his outbursts, some of the ways he reacted.
Luckily, we got some help.
That's right, we did. Over time, awareness has helped with that. It's made it a lot easier because people now understand a little better. And the more awareness there is out there, the more that people know, the better it is for families with autism. Research intensified. We're starting to find out more and more about what therapies are effective, that they're effective early. We're starting to dig into the gene therapy and figuring out what's going on with the genes, what potential environmental triggers are out there for autism, and making a lot of progress there. That all happens because of fundraising, because of money for research. Lobbying began in earnest. Once we had Autism Speaks in an organization of that power, the lobbying began right to form. And that helped with insurance, and now more insurance is available than there was in the past. We now know about the kinds of signs that parents can look to identify to help, because awareness and understanding and being able to identify autism at its earliest stage makes such a difference. All the studies are showing that the earlier you jump on it, the earlier you get treatment, the better the outcomes. So all of these things have made a difference in our lives. Events like this make a difference in our lives. And make a difference in the lives of families that have autistic children.
No matter what.
We're grateful for Autism Speaks. We're grateful for organizations like that, Dr. Gigi's organization, which has meant so much to us in our lives.
Yep, thank you.
We're grateful for all of you guys, for your willingness to be here to support the cause, and your willingness to be open to understanding, becoming aware, and helping. All of that makes a difference, and we can't thank you enough for that. We're going to all talk a little bit, so I'm going to pass the microphone, but thank you guys.
Let's get ready. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
The name's Zachary. We have Autistic Week gathered here together today at FIU to talk about the love of autism and the eyes of it. You know, autism means being special to me. Everything I do, and even more. From loving one another, to being successful, it still means that I'm autistic to me no matter what. But it's easy liking people. The hardest challenge for me is finding my own family in a big crowd. Luckily for us, Jesus can help me, no matter what. Right, guys? So all of you, even the ones at FIU, please support Autism Speaks and kids and, of course, teenagers like me today. Because we're still special no matter what. And a big thank you to you guys and High Point, and a special thanks to Dr. Gigi and Coach Lewis. My special ones. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Noah, Zach's older brother. I'm 16. Having a sibling with autism has changed my life in more ways than I can think. From the people that I've met to the relationship that me and my brother share. For as long as I can remember, I've always wondered what it would be like if my brother hadn't had autism. And I realized that it's pointless to think like that because it's not how it is. I would see my siblings playing with their siblings. I would see my friends playing with their siblings, and I think, why can't I do that with my brother? And I realized that I can. It's just in other ways.
Thanks to Jesus.
Thanks to Jesus. I began to resent the fact that my brother had autism, and I'd get really angry when I'd see people staring, and I didn't know what to do. I was just really upset. But I realized eventually that no matter what, the more that I hated, the worse it was going to be. That as long as I was helping Zach, that's all that mattered. The more I was there for him, the more he would improve. Right?
You sure is. Thanks, bro.
I made sure that I was there for Zach so that he could feel comfortable, so that I could be someone for him to look up to lean on, just someone to be there for him. He continued to improve, and my brother is my best friend. I love him. He's someone that I'm glad to see all the time. I don't know. I think when I was a little kid, my parents used to tell me God chose us to have a sibling with autism.
And that's me.
And that's that. Because we were strong enough and that he knew that we were able to overcome all the challenges that would come. And I think that God was right choosing us because I think that we're able to handle Zach and Zach's able to handle himself. He's the perfect kid to be in our family and we all love him.
No matter what.
I see autism as a social setback that presently cannot be cured, but can be treated. Not like a disease, but like a broken bone, or a missing puzzle piece. This belief is what pushes me to do whatever I can to help my brother. With organizations like Autism Speaks and Dr. Gigi's Raise Me Up Foundation, I believe we can find the missing puzzle pieces needed to find better treatments, work towards a cure, and along the way, help children and adults with autism all around the world.
Even the support of High Point Academy. Alright guys, this last one, my mom. It's her time to shine. Round of applause for that.
I'm standing here and I'm realizing that the two guys behind me have said everything that I was going to say, and it's a big problem that we didn't get together to do it, but I can tell you, we've always been open with Zachary from the beginning. From as long as I can remember, even upon his diagnosis, we were open about it with our family and our friends. And over the years, we've realized, we've seen families that have chosen to not be as open because they didn't want to be labeled. We chose to do the opposite because we figured the more that we found out, the more we could spread the word and the more we could find out from other people and other parents and other families. I can tell you a story. I was sitting in Zach's room. He was about 4 years old. cleaning the room, sitting in the little tables for the little kids, and he came running in his diaper. No, wasn't in a diaper because he was about 4 years old.
Yeah.
So he looked at me,
Yeah, right.
dead smack in the eye, grabbed my face and said, "Mom, I'm autistic." And I looked at him dead in the face and I said, "Yes, you are." And I
Good
said,
times.
and all that means, Zachary, is your brain is wired a little bit different. You'll learn things a little bit different. You may struggle with things a little bit different like we do. I said, "You are perfect the way you are." And that's the way we raised him, because he's perfect. He is who he is. He's secure, as you can see. And I can tell you right now, I don't want to bum anybody out, but the reality is, when I look around this room and I see all you young guys and girls, and you're loving college, great life. When I was in that church and I was marrying the love of my life, I remember looking up on the altar and I said, "I wonder what you have in store for us." Never in my wildest imagination would I ever think that Robert and I would have a child with special needs. So think about it. The reality is out there. Don't be scared of it. You have to embrace it. We have. And it's been the biggest joy in our life and in the lives of our family. We have amazing parents that are here tonight. Rob's mom, Emma, his father, Roberto, my mom, Valerie, who has supported us from the beginning with the entire family embracing everything. Zachary understands love, and he is so brilliant, so smart, that I guarantee you, Dr. Gigi's gonna have him here in 4 years. So wait. If any of you are studying to be therapists, thank you, because you will change the lives of many people. And we thank you for having us tonight, and we thank Dr. Gigi and Coach Lewis and our families. We thank Angelica, everyone at Autism Speaks, and we thank you girls for choosing Autism Speaks to raise money and bring the awareness, because they are perfect, and they have everything in them that they can go and do, that all of us can do and achieve everything.
Why, thank you all for helping us out.
So thank you all for helping us out.
And no problem.
With no problems.
Great stuff. Thank you, Dr. Gigi.
Alrighty. Very touching and beautiful. That's the reason we're here.
So we're going to begin with round one. This is where our contestants are going to have the opportunity to introduce themselves and to tell you a little bit about why they're running for Zion.
There you go. So without further ado, let's bring him up. Let's go.
Our first contestant is Anne.